Oh, hey guys. All right. I think we are live. I hope that you can see me. Make sure you say hello if you can see me. Today, I'm going to talk about the value statement of your strategic plan. As you know, my freebie for the month is Strategic Plan for Entrepreneurs. And you can grab that on my website at thescrumshop.com/workbooks. It's the top one on there. But today I wanted to talk to you about the value statement of your strategic plan because, well, here's the thing about a strategic plan. The strategic plan is something that actually helps you sort of memorialize things about your business for a given period of time. So when you write a strategic plan, it's a really great way for you to memorialize those decisions that you're going to make. But it's just for the given year, right? That doesn't mean you can't change over time. And when we look at companies like the big ones, right? Like Nike, Apple, and Google, you can see that over time, their mission statements change, their vision statements have changed, and their value statements have changed. And so I don't want you to feel like your strategic plan is something that's set in stone, because then when you have that attitude, you feel like it gets you into that perfection paralysis, right? Where you don't feel like you can actually, um, you don't have that wiggle room. You don't have any flexibility, right? And so it makes it hard for you to actually write those things down. The second thing about a strategic plan is the strategic plan is intended for you to revisit often. It's so that you can kind of set your goals and set this sort of an outline of what your business is about, what your goals are, and how you're going to reach those goals. So the intention is that you will revisit that thing often. It's not something that you just write down like a little worksheet and then file it away and you never pull it up again. That's not the point of it. The point is for you to keep revisiting it so that you can see your progress through your build out of your business, right? So when you set goals and you equate those goals to something tangible like completing a project, that in completion of that project will help you reach that goal, you can see how the shift changes from the focus of feeling like you're in a hustle all the time, to feeling like you are actually working towards that goal by completing project X, Y, and Z, right? And that is the idea about the strategic plan. And that's why I did that at the end of the year, because, if you're incorporated, you should do a strategic plan, basically as your annual meeting for your corporation, right? But if you don't, then the end of the year, beginning of the year is a perfect time for you to start thinking about a strategic plan. And the more you write things down, the better it's going to be for you to get that solid in your head. So I wanted to talk to you today about three about the vision statements, because I really think that you can find your perfect people through your vision statement. I mean, not your vision statement, sorry, your values statement, the values statement, right? Because when you find your perfect people, chances are their values are going to align with your values in a lot of ways, right? And we're not talking about necessarily moral values. It's what you value as a business, what your business values in terms of its clients, how you help your clients, how you see the world, and how you and the future that you want for your clients, right? And so, if we looked at Google's, I want to share my screen because it'll be easier for you to kind of read through them. But I want to point out specific examples from the Google value statements, and the Nike and Apple's value statements, because I think that they can give you some insight um, into what I'm talking about here, and it'll help you write your own value statements. So let me see if I can. This has changed. So okay, here's share screen. This has changed. I haven't done this in a while in StreamYard. And I am gonna look at this. Okay. All right. Hopefully you can see this. So let me know if you can't see this thing. So what I have here is Google's values statement, okay? And so when we look at it here, I'm just going to read them out loud to you so you can think about them. So the first one is fast is better than slow. Focus on the user and all else will follow. Great just isn't good enough. There's always more information. You can be serious without a suit. Democracy on the web works. You don't need to be at your desk to need an answer. You can make money without doing evil. The need for information crosses all borders. It's best to do one thing really, really well. So, what I like about these statements is each one of them kind of says something about who they're trying to attract, right? Fast is better than slow. So, they're looking for people who can move fast. They want to get information to you fast. This is the age of information. So, they're looking to for people who, move fast, consume a lot of information, and want it now, right? Want that instant access. They're focusing um, on their users, and they think everything else will follow, right? But let's go down to some of the other ones. I like the great just isn't good enough because that is that leaving room for continuous improvement, right? We always are continually improving, especially in the Scrum world. And if you practice Scrum, then you know what I'm talking about is continuous improvement is such an important part of it, right? I love the you can be serious without a suit because that is my motto. That is one of the things that is in my brand book is that we don't need to wear pencil skirts and a tie, starched collars and all that to make an impact. We can be casual and we don't have to, be dressed like a Barbie doll to make an impact. And then democracy on the web, I think that is a good indicator of where they're coming from politically, that they're not into dictatorships or any of that kind of stuff, right? They even have one that says the need for information crosses all borders, sharing that they are inclusive. And then you don't need to be at your desk to need an answer. That one is good because it's explaining to them that they want to make things mobile friendly, accessible anywhere you are, that sort of thing. And this one I really like. You can make money without doing evil because it's telling you as a client or a consumer of Google products is that they are ethical. They want to be ethical. They want to work with people who are ethical. They don't want to work with people who are hacks and criminals and that sort of thing. Okay, so think about that when you're putting yours together. Is it can just be like this. It doesn't have to be some massive statement. It can just be these things that are like explaining or saying a lot in just a very few amount of words, right? So let's look at Nike's is do the right thing, be on the offense always, serve athletes, create the future of sport, and win as a team. So what are they saying? Do the right thing, right? Again, ethical, moral, legal, do the right thing, be the right, do that. Be on the offense, meaning, take charge of your world. And then win as a team is, we're better together, right? We're better together. So let's work together. Let's do this together. And then and create a future of sport. And I like that one because it's about making an impact, right? Make an impact on your world, make an impact on the sport that you're playing, and be a part of it. Be ethical and do the right thing, right? And then let's look at Apple. So Apple's is accessibility, support education, a planet-sized plan. We're all in, privacy is a human right, racial equity and justice, supplier responsibility. Now they went into detail on theirs. So on each one of these, I just didn't write it all down, but you can see what they're talking about. Accessibility is inclusiveness, right? Supporting education. So making sure that all people can be educated. A planet-sized plan. So they want to reach the whole entire world. They aren't just looking locally. We're all in. So they're giving their all, their 100%. They want you to give your all as well. The privacy thing, we all know Apple is big on their privacy and that, so I like that too. And then the racial equity and justice, again, inclusivity. Supplier responsibility is in the details that they wrote out. It's basically is that they have expectations and standards that their suppliers must meet, and so that they're ethical, responsible, and that sort of thing, and so that they demand that of the people that they work with. So you can see how these things are going to, if you really look at these examples, and you can Google these yourself, you can find them. You can just say, you can just Google Google's values statement 2022, right? Or Nike's value statement 2022. And if you go back years and years and years, you might be able to see the history of how it changed. And that's the cool thing, right? Is you can see the history of how their mission statement, their vision statement, their value statement, all that has changed over time, which is great because it gives you that permission to change yours over time as well. So just decide on something that you're going to look at this year, right? That you're going to invest yourself in, invest your time, your heart, your energy into this year. And then every year you're going to revisit it and change it over and over and over again, and maybe refine or whatever it is. It doesn't really matter. And the main basic message may not change, or I'm sorry, the main value may not change, but the way you word it may change, right? Over time. And so it's perfectly okay to do that. And that's why the strategic plan is so nice, because it's an annual plan that you follow and you make happen. And then you're checking on it all the time and reviewing it all the time, because you want to make sure that you're making progress on your goals, right? And on the goals that you made. And the way we do that, right, is we don't just say, okay, here's my goal, I'm just going to go. Well, what? You need a plan, right? And to make a plan, you need a project. You need to put some boundaries on that thing that you're working on, right? That's why projects are so good to work inside of, because you can establish a project and then you just establish the scope of that project so that you're not all over the place, right? You're focusing in on the one goal of that project, which may be like, it could be like launching your course, right? Or it could even be a mini project of, which isn't really mini, is creating a sales page or a sales funnel for your business, right? So I just want to kind of go through what I've been working on for mine this year, my values. Mine is move fast and be bold. And then I put some endings on there. So you have some examples. I just wanted you to see these examples. So move fast and be bold. Building a business is a long game, but that doesn't mean you have to move slowly. Take risks and put yourself out there as soon as possible so you can build on that experience. Take imperfect action. Perfection cannot be achieved. There is always room for improvement. Prove it and improve it. The key to confidence in your offer is to prove it converts. Get it out there ASAP and ask for feedback so you can improve on it. Knowledge is acquired. You weren't born with the knowledge to build, grow, and scale a business. You must learn it. But learning everything up front is not efficient or effective. We learn on the job and acquire the knowledge through education, training, mentoring, and coaching along the way. And then ties and pencil skirts are not required. Scrum is about achieving goals without getting hung up on the small stuff. And you can't do that with proverbial starched collars and pencil skirts if that's not how you normally roll. We may yell formalize, formalize, formalize from the rooftops, but we're far from normal. And then the last, I have three more. Scrum works for everyone. Scrum does not discriminate nor favor anyone or any group. Scrum knows no politics, religion, race, rejects harassment, discrimination, and bullying of any kind. In it for the long haul. Although we move fast, our business is here for the long haul, and our decisions are based on what will provide longevity over hustle. and then make an impact. Our clients don't want to want their resume retiring with them. They want to pass along everything they learned and leave a legacy. So, so those are mine that I'm working on right now, and I hope that those help you to create a really good vision statement for yourself that aligns with, I mean, a value statement that really aligns with your values and what you want the values of your people. Because when you have those values out there and you show those values in your copywriting, people are going to see that, right? And then they're going to self-identify whether they're aligned with you or not aligned with you. And when you have that, this value statement written out, you can connect with it better. You can refresh your memory by going back to it. You can revise it in your strategic plan. Really, anytime you want to. I'd say annually is a good time for you to review your strategic plan and revise it. But you should be reviewing your strategic plan at least every quarter, because that is where you're going to find the projects that you need to reach the goals that you put in your strategic plan, right? So you're going to find those projects, initiate those projects, work on those projects, and when you're done with those projects, go back to your strategic plan, check those things off, measure if you've reached the goal or not, where you at and are in the where you're at in the progression toward those goals, and then whether or not you need to continue working on that particular thing or you're ready to move on to your next project. Okay? Because the bottom line is building your online business, it's just a matter of projects. And with good project management practices and that keep you out of overwhelm and keep you focused on what you're really working toward, is going to help you stay for the longevity of your business and be here in 10 years, make a career for yourself, have something that you can that helps you build some family wealth for your family and for maybe generations to come. So don't give up. Write that strategic plan, start formalizing, because the more formal you get, the more legitimate your business will feel, and the more it becomes a separate entity from you, rather than just an extension of you. And you can really then view your business from the CEO point of view rather than the emotional, it's my baby point of view, right? Okay. I hope that that helps. If you're watching the replay, be sure to post replay before you go. If you've been watching it live, be sure to also put that in that you were here live. I saw some people here. So anyway, so you can grab my workbook for Strategic Plan for Entrepreneurs at thescrumpshop.com/stratplan, or you can just get it on my workbooks page on my website. Okay, I hope that this helps you get your strategic plan in place. I'll see you guys in the comments. All right, bye.